All right, guys, welcome back to Sneaker Impact News. I'm your host, Brian, and today my guest is Aaron Jordan from HIPHOUSE Music Festival. Aaron, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, we're excited to have you on the podcast. So, guys, Aaron is a tech founder, festival organizer, and young badass. And he recently moved here from Louisville, Kentucky to Miami, and we're excited to share his story today and everything he's up to. So, Aaron, tell us about HIPHOUSE Music Festival. What's it all about?
Yeah, man. Thanks again for having me here. I'm excited to be here at Sneaker Impact. So HIPHOUSE Music Festival, it literally started out with organic inspiration from what was going on around me. More specifically, I had a friend in a program that I was in called Built in Miami. His name is Alex, and most folks know me from producing the Louisville Juneteenth Festival in my hometown in Kentucky. And so while I was participating in this program here in Miami, here to build my tech company, I was simultaneously producing the festival back home. And so one of my classmates, Alex, he goes, "When's your next festival?" And I was like, "Next year." He was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because Juneteenth is an annual celebration." And he was like, "Nah, I think you could do another festival here." He was like, "Man, if you did, I would support it." So he low-key put a little battery in my back. I don't know if it's because I'm Aquarius or what, but like that was just playing in the back of my head like, he's right. I could do something impactful, right, here in this city. And that's really where the conversation was stemming from. He learned about how much impact the festival in Kentucky had, how community-driven it was, how intentional it is, and he's just like, Miami could use something like that. So fast forward, I'm learning more about just the Miami ecosystem, the flooding that was going on, the winds picking up, hotter summers. I learned about the incinerator, learned about the garbage being shipped out to Orlando on trains, just learned about all of the different elements of the climate crisis that were impacting Miami. And, back home in Louisville, Kentucky, I would go on like cleanups with my council members and things like that, cleaning up a creek called Beargrass Creek, something that I grew up.
I love that. I clean up a little river in our backyard here.
Okay,
so I feel you on the river.
You feel me, right?
Yeah,
so, and something that I did in my spare time, because in the last 4 to 5 years, I've been a community activist specifically around Black Lives Matter, around Breonna Taylor, around George Floyd. And so I've always kind of had this itch for activism, and I thought it would be, when I was younger, I would say, I'm going to be an activist when I grow up. But I didn't know that it would come to my back door in the way of civil unrest when I was in my late 20s. I thought that I would be like an older gentleman and a little more established in life, but it's just one of those things, you speak it into existence and you don't get to choose how it comes about. So I was on my homeboy's patio over here in Wynwood, and we were listening to Drake's album. We were listening to Honestly Nevermind, and we were just admiring the eclectic makeup of the album. House music, it was hip hop, it was just
no
a
stickies
vibe.
on that one, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
I've played that
it
as
is.
a DJ, yeah.
And hanging out with my boy, his name is Nick. I was hanging out with him, and I think we had a couple of like just music sessions, sipping wine and just vibing. And then like one day, it just hit me. I was like, "Bro, hip house," and I said the name hip house. He was like, "What's hip house?" I was like, "Bro, hip house." I'm like, hip hop, house music fused together. I'm like, we got to make it more than just music. I'm like, we could do sustainability, we could do climate action. And then we literally like sat there, and then like he said it back to me. He was like, hip house. I was like, yeah, hip house. So it was kind of one of those moments of where like when I said the name of the festival, it coined itself, like it kind of actualized itself.
That's so cool. That's the origin story.
That's the origin story, yeah. Everything from Alex putting the battery in my back and me having a good time in Wynwood, listening to Drake. It's like,
and all these artists now are coming into house music. I'm a house music DJ.
Yeah.
For about the last 7 years.
Okay.
And I'm in my mid-40s, so I started late, but I've always been passionate about music and sustainability. So I'm so glad to see you doing that, because a couple of the music festivals down here have gotten more involved with zero waste. And,
yes.
And that's how we met, was through. I mean, I don't want to give away. I want you to tell them. But
well, yeah, we met in the zero waste group in the chat.
Zero Waste
Miami group. Shout out to Maddie.
Maddie Kaufman, she's been on the podcast.
Oh yeah, cool, man. Yeah, I saw you come down the timeline. I think you were talking about another event that was going to be happening.
Psychedelics for climate action.
Psychedelics for climate action.
That was a couple weeks ago.
The how did that event go?
Amazing. A bunch of the organizations came together. It was right down the street at the Hub, which is called the Technology and Climate Innovation Hub.
Where's that at?
It's in Little River, which is where you are right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so guys, Aaron just moved here yesterday.
Like I moved back, yeah, but I just moved into my new space.
So you've been to Miami before.
Correct.
And I know you have a 305 number, I saw.
Correct,
so
correct.
You
Yeah,
got some
I'm actually coming up on
roots.
my year anniversary.
Okay.
I moved here last year on March 27th to build Pebble, which is my tech company.
Okay.
That's what I was in the Built in Miami program building. And from there, I thought I was just going to like do a little bit of hybrid back and forth. I got Airbnb. I ended up staying longer. I moved in more permanently and thought that I was going to like find somewhere else to go after graduation, which was last June, June 25th, I believe. And
Graduation from what?
from the Built in Miami program through Venture
Okay.
Miami.
So tell us about Built in Miami, because I don't know what that is.
Okay, yeah. So Built in Miami, shout out to Chris Daniels, who's the program manager. Shout out to Eric Gavin. Shout out to Burhan. These guys were working in partnership with the city of Miami to host essentially like a tech accelerator.
Sure.
And it was programming like
For
twice a
startups.
week for startups, correct. There were about 200 or so startups in the program. And actually from everything that I was able to learn in that program, again, shout out to Chris Daniels, I was able to apply that and we were able to land our first check, my first pre-seed check for Pebble. So I didn't think that I was going to be, I didn't know.
What is Pebble? It's an app?
It is.
What does it do? And, like, what's the elevator pitch if you and I are in the
Yeah,
elevator?
man. So Pebble essentially is an app that helps event organizers like myself to understand how much money is being generated in our marketplaces, at our festivals, at our farmers markets, etc. And we also are building out a POS system that'll help you track those sales and be able to give a piece of that revenue back to the event organizer. There's an event management piece of it. So you can go on Pebble, you can host your event on Pebble. Vendors will come and apply to the event. You approve them or deny them based on whatever your event criteria is. And then they're able to pay their registration fee. You give them their load in, load out times, all the information, give them a map. They can get their booth spot or their stall number.
Wow.
And then
So
they're able
planning.
to. A lot of planning.
Plus
and
promotion, plus
Exactly.
the accounting.
And a little bit of accounting, yeah. I mean, it takes
metrics.
it takes a lot of the confusion out of communicating.
Yeah, because
back and
you got
forth.
Eventbrite and you got all these other apps. There's a million apps, but you built this app. Like, did you need a team of developers, or how did you do it?
Yeah, man. So I worked with a dev shop when I first came to Miami.
Is that a local thing? I don't
is
know,
that
dev
what?
shop, or is that a...
Oh, a development shop. So like a team of developers, a business that is built of
So you found some
developers through the Built in Miami program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, look how supportive they are.
Yeah, man. And I mean,
'Cause, I mean,
tens of thousands of dollars later, I'm still,
Whoa.
about a month and a half away from my launch.
Okay.
I'm currently raising. I'm in my pre-seed raise. And
We're going to get that information in the bio here.
yeah, man.
So
but
people
yeah,
can contribute. And you're going to use it for HIPHOUSE Festival?
I'm going to use it for HIPHOUSE Festival. I'm going to use it for the Juneteenth Festival. I've been having conversations with a lot of festival organizers who are anticipating the platform. And so I wouldn't be in Miami if it weren't for Pebble. And I wouldn't have potentially been inspired to build Hip House because, like I said, that organic story that I just told you wouldn't have happened unless I was here.
So tell us more about Juneteenth, because I was really impressed to hear how big of an event it is.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
And your history. So tell us when you started that, and don't be shy. Tell us some numbers.
Okay, so Juneteenth, it actually started during civil unrest, 2020. My background is in integrated marketing communications. I worked at Sony as a college marketing rep alongside Epic Records, Columbia Records.
Those are big time names.
Yeah, man. I've learned a lot. I've been fortunate enough to be able to learn a lot from the music industry. I've worked in Atlanta in recording studios, Tree Sound Studio, and my background also is in musicianship, and I'm a songwriter. I play the drums.
Amazing.
Thank you, man. So imagine civil unrest 2020. My city is looking like a war-torn, third world country. Yeah, Louisville, Kentucky is something that I couldn't even recognize. The streets that I grew up on, the ice cream parlors, the pizza shops, everything just looked out of whack. I would have never thought that I would see my city look like that. You hear about stories like this.
What do you mean? Were they shut down, or was it just too
I mean, it was
dangerous
boarded
and
up,
open?
right?
Everything?
Because of COVID, the pandemic.
I do remember during that time, Madison, Wisconsin, where I'm from, they boarded up all the businesses on State Street.
Yeah.
And they put up murals about Black Lives Matter.
Correct.
That was during that time when everything was closed.
It was when everything was closed. There were army tanks on the streets.
Whoa.
There were National Guard, patrolling
Just
and blocking the streets off.
And stuff.
Because of large crowds, people were coming in from all over the world demonstrating and protesting. And so, we had been demonstrating for some time. Unfortunately, I was a prominent figure during civil unrest, so I was allegedly one of the figures that was out there leading crowds of thousands of folks in demonstrations and really demanding justice for Breonna Taylor. Mm-hmm. And so, one day, we were just over it. Like a lot of days, we were over it. A lot of people could express the exact same sentiment that I have, which is just, you just never knew what was going to happen. It would go from, it could be a peaceful, nonviolent rally, and then LMPD could show up at any moment, or the Kentucky State Police could show up, or just another maybe super crazy Proud Boys group or something crazy would just show up, and these things would happen at the drop of a dime, and so you have to kind of get into action mode. And so just being kind of worn out from that, tear gas and rubber bullets, etc. Myself and a couple other organizers, we decided we wanted to observe Juneteenth, and
which celebrates
the it represents when, not emancipation, but it's when the last of enslaved Africans in the country were told in Galveston, Texas, that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed.
Wow.
And so actually what abolished slavery was the 13th Amendment, not the Emancipation Proclamation. But the information
was... this in the 60s?
This is in 1865.
Oh, okay.
And so...
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, because I know there was the segregation movement in the 60s where they finally brought everyone together instead of separating.
Correct. Which, that history plays into where we're going to be hosting Hip House. We're looking at historic Virginia Key Beach Park.
I love it.
Historic Virginia Key Beach Park was actually a response to civil unrest and was a response to
Isn't that called the Black Beach?
It is the Black Beach, and it's where Black folks were recreating, and the only beach that folks could recreate, because Miami Beach was a sundown town and they weren't permitting Black folks to be on their beaches. Wow. It was super racist. Yeah. And so Black folks established historic Virginia Key Beach Park to recreate. And so, moving here to Miami, learning more about the culture, learning more about the history. As an activist, I naturally gravitated towards that venue once I learned the history about it.
It's also, they protect the environment there.
Correct.
There's a lot of environmentalism. Very sensitive, and they leave no trace. So it's not festivals have been there, many festivals, from Love Burn to Art With Me to
Caribbean Fest, all kinds of things.
Tons of festivals have been there. So it's an amazing place for a festival, but it's also a pristine part of our ecosystem.
Correct.
And it's an environmental, it's like a state park or something. So it's
I'm learning more about the way that the park is set up, but
I think,
I believe so, and I know that there's a crocodile mama that lives over there.
No, I know where crocodiles are within 2 blocks of the studio.
Are you serious?
River. Yeah, I go paddleboarding, and I will never forget the first time I saw this 15-foot American crocodile.
Are you serious?
And I came around the corner barefoot in a little bend in the river with bare feet on my paddleboard with my friend, and we saw this dinosaur-looking thing on the shore about 20 feet from us, and we almost jumped out of our skin. But they're harmless as long as you don't provoke them. They have never attacked a human. Alligators would be a little bit more...
Part of me wants to go get on the paddleboard with you and go
I'm going to show you where it is, because there's also...
Part of me is stay in your lane.
Just in the paper yesterday, in the local 10 or whatever, they were talking about how in this area up by North Miami, it's called Highland Oak Park.
I've heard of it, yeah.
There's a bunch of American crocodiles up there that are really close to walking past, and some of them are 10 to 15 feet. Now, the Nile crocodile from Africa is the aggressive one that can eat humans. Okay. The American crocodile was federally threatened or endangered in the 70s, but it's made a comeback. But it's
I heard that the biggest population is actually here in Miami-Dade.
I mean, they're found in Jamaica and Cuba, but also in the Keys and also in Miami. And
that's crazy
down at Turkey Point, which is a nuclear plant. Down here, it's right on the ocean. Down south.
There's a nuclear plant on the ocean?
Yeah, it's down in the Key Largo area, it's south of Homestead, but I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess it's like category 5 proof. Like now we're getting into like a little wormhole, or what do you call it? Little
Rabbit hole,
here.
yeah.
But, you know, there are a lot of crocodiles and alligators that live in Miami. And the alligators, they move them out of, like, they have sometimes at University of Miami, they'll have a crocodile or alligator that'll come into their lake there, or the lagoon, and they'll move it because they don't want anyone to accidentally provoke it or get at night, you know. But you know, the summertime when it's warmer out, that's when they're more aggressive. In the winter, like the alligators are cold-blooded, so they're not as aggressive.
As active.
Yeah, so I mean, we live amongst manatees in the Little River. There's hundreds of manatees.
I still haven't seen a manatee.
Oh my
yet.
God, I'm going to show you the manatees, because the manatees and the crocodiles coexist. I mean,
What's
isn't that
crazy?
interesting? That's kind of like a microcosm.
It's well.
You know? And
So
there's other animals in
I'm
there,
so
too.
lame. I'm such a nerd. I grew up. Shout out to all the lames and all the nerds out there. I grew up on Bill Nye the Science Guy. I grew up on paid public programming, watching Zaboom Food, Kratz Brothers, stuff
Same.
like that. So like, I understand the relationship between those types of animals and sort of the respect that they have. I mean, a crocodile's not going to try to go up against a manatee. They're just too big.
And there's
But
even little baby manatees with their moms I've seen. And then
that's
there's a
crazy.
15-foot crocodile right there. They got their own food source.
Yo,
They're eating
because
fish and
when I
stuff.
first moved
the
down
manatees
here,
are eating, like, you know, the
grass,
the grass,
and
the seagrass, and then the
Yeah.
crocodiles are eating like fish, I guess. And then there's these cormorants, these birds that dive in and get the fish too. So there's a lot going on. There's other things too I forgot about, but I'll take you for a paddleboard.
I want to go. When I first moved down here, again to my like infatuation with wildlife, I was like, where are the animals at? Like, what kind of animals are there? Crocodiles in the water? And everybody kept telling me like, nobody would give me like a definitive answer. Everybody was like, I don't know. They're like, I mean, it's water, and crocodiles live in water.
Canals for sure, like
Yeah.
over west of Miami. But in the city of Miami, it's a little more rare.
Okay.
But, you know, there are a couple, and it's their habitat, so we just respect them. Like, we stay away from them. Like, when I was paddleboarding, I give them 20 feet of space, you know. And
That's
I was
crazy.
telling my friend, because she wanted to get close, I'm like, respect it. You know, this is like a major, you know, animal. Like,
this is
bigger
not
than us.
Yeah, it's
Similar
not
to a
like
shark,
a
you know, you respect the environment. You know?
Correct.
And there's bull sharks in our rivers. Oh, there's bull sharks in that same river. So there's manatees, bull sharks, crocodiles.
Why are you on the paddleboard?
I love paddleboarding. It's something besides running to do.
You ever heard
Plus,
the
I'm cleaning
expression?
up the river. We're cleaning up the river when we're on the paddleboard.
I don't know if I'm giving you a pass. I will give you a pass for that one, but you never heard the phrase "find something safe to do."
Well, I won't ever jump out of a airplane yet. And the biggest thing that scares me is cave diving, because there's these springs in northern Florida, and people go dive into these caves that go deep into the earth, and you can
From
watch
Kentucky,
on YouTube.
we have
People have
the
dived.
largest
Mammoth Cave. Yeah, I've been there.
How you know?
I've been there as a little kid.
Damn.
We used to drive from Madison, Wisconsin. My dad would drive us in the minivan at 50 miles an hour. Everyone's passing us all the way to Orlando. And we would
Damn.
stop at Mammoth Cave. I think, spent a night in Mammoth Cave.
Are you serious?
As a Boy Scout. We would
So-
camp. We would go a couple miles under the earth. But those are big caves. And
They
those
are.
aren't underwater.
They're
You can look on
underground, but-
YouTube.
yeah.
There's stories about divers who get, you know, a little bit too confident.
Damn.
And even professional divers who have died 3 miles under the earth in some cave, and it's because they got stuck or something happened to their
Can't turn around.
yeah,
Or,
you know. And it's just
Damn.
I'm claustrophobic, so like I
Me too.
don't want to be stuck in a cave underwater with scuba gear on. I haven't scuba dived yet. I'm a snorkeler, but I just
Never
respect
snorkeled.
wildlife. Like, for instance, in the river, it's a tame little river. Yes, I've seen a bull shark here and there, but like, this is a little river, like the width of the room. It's actually called the Little River.
Okay.
There's the Miami River, which goes
Yep.
through downtown. That's what all the big boats come through.
Yep,
right?
I've seen that.
But Little River is here by our office. So that's the
Yeah.
one I chose to clean up, because we're right in the middle of metropolitan Miami right here, a mega city, and there's trash galore in there. And I go out there on Earth Day, and then I started going out once a month, and it looks a lot better. Not just from my efforts, but we did clean up a couple shorelines where the
Good.
manatees live, and there was so much styrofoam and beer bottles and stuff, and now it looks much better.
Yeah, man, it's pretty sick and gross how humans can impact the
we got to do
waterways.
so much more education. Let's bring it back to HIPHOUSE Festival, because when you reached out to me through WhatsApp about 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Maybe 2 weeks.
2
Maybe
weeks
1
ago,
week.
yeah, instantly I sent it to our founder, and I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of music, but you want to incorporate sustainability and sneaker impact.
Correct.
So let's tell people a little bit more about HIPHOUSE Festival and how Sneaker Impact's going to get involved, and what else is going to be going on there.
Let's do it.
besides DJs.
Well, you know, a big part of this is everybody has to be doing something. Like, there's no way that one organization, one initiative, one project is going to be able to handle the lift of what humans have done, frankly. And so the idea with Hip House is that, folks can come in as music lovers, but they leave as eco-conscious, climate-ready individuals, climate action-ready individuals. And so, like, similar to civil unrest of 2020, people would come up to me and say, Aaron, you're on the front lines, you're putting your body on the line daily, and I feel like I'm not doing nothing. And I would always correct people, like, if you're a mother or a father, like, your first front line is your children and bringing them up in the way that they should be brought up, right? Or if you're
Absolutely.
an educator, or if you're an attorney, or if you're a politician, like, you should be leveraging your relationships, you should be leveraging your IP, your mental capacity, and all these things to do something for the movement, something for the cause.
For the greater good.
For the greater good, right? And so in that same, like, vein of, like, convincing and getting folks to understand, like, you don't have to be, like, on the front lines you don't have to, and no disrespect, but you don't have to chain yourself to a tree to feel like you are, like,
Absolutely.
doing something for the environment. You could literally, from your vantage point and from your framework in life, do something that you're good at, which is so dope. Like, the Sneaker Impact has taken a niche and carved out a lane and is making a dent in this particular space, right? And so with Hip House, what we want to do is inspire people to do the same thing. So if you're a politician, if you're an educator, if you are a runner, if you are an events organizer, or if you're a lifelong environmentalist, right? How can we all find our way, find our lane, and put an emphasis on it to make impact? And so, we're going to be doing things from everything from, every person who purchases a ticket, every attendee that purchases a ticket will plant a tree.
Wow.
Yeah, we're working on partnerships right now. There is the opportunity, again, to work with Sneaker Impact. What I'm seeing for our partnership is we're going to ask each attendee to bring a pair of gently used shoes, right? Or maybe they bring more than one pair.
Sure.
And the beauty is, food, culture, music generally brings people together effortlessly. And so how do we bring people together, but not just for the sake of partying, but we party for the planet? Consciously, right? And intentionally. So, you probably know, just like I know, there's not a bunch of money in climate action. In fact, there's no money in climate action.
Funding is getting cut.
And funding is getting cut. Unfortunately, we have an administration that doesn't even believe in climate reality and all the things, right? And
Now it's up to the individuals and the organizations.
Correct.
We can't wait for the government to, and the government's, it's always changing.
Yep.
But music festivals, haven't really focused on sustainability. So when you told me this music festival is all about education, sustainability, and health,
correct,
and you're actually going to have I don't want to take your words, but eco house, health
eco house, heal house, And then these are all going to live under the umbrella of Hip House, right? So the Hip House being the festival, Eco House being sort of our eco village or our resource village, what we call it at Juneteenth, all right? But it's the same concept where nonprofits are invited to come in and have information about how folks can get involved, whether you're hiring, or you're looking for interns, or you have a new initiative that you're launching and you need community support, or if you want to do some surveying, like whatever you can leverage the Hip House platform for the good of the work that your organization is doing. That's what we want folks to be doing. And then Heal House is a space that we're developing that is exactly what it sounds like. We want folks to heal their mind and their body and their spirit at Hip House, right? So this could look like anything from ice baths to sound healing, yoga, stretching, etc.
Love it.
We're still in the very early stages of planning
if you
some
need
of this
any
out,
help
but
with the sound healing and the other things like yoga, I mean, I've lived
Say
here
less.
for 18 years, and I've got all types of teachers and
Okay.
instructors and studios interested. That
I
are
would
all
take
in
you
the
up on
area.
that, Brian.
No, we're going to be working close together, and
Yeah.
I love the idea of having people bring their pre-loved or unwanted shoes.
I like that, pre-loved.
That's what we've been saying lately.
Pre-loved. I like that.
pre-loved.
I like that.
Yeah, that only came into the vernacular in the last year, maybe.
I like
We'd
it.
always said gently used and unwanted.
Yeah.
And then we have the end of life, which is what goes in our grinding program. But recently someone was like, one of my mentors was like, I'm not sure about end of life because it's a little morbid.
It's a little
So
morbid.
we're trying to come up with a new word for end of life.
Pre-loved.
But pre-loved means that someone had them and they used them.
Yeah.
And then,
They
we
had a
can clean
life,
them.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they had a life, but then they're getting a second life in Haiti,
Yep.
and that's our number one country we export the shoes to, and they create businesses out of it.
I saw the facility. You showed me around.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Man, I'm impressed by, first of all, it doesn't look like this much building when you walk in from the street. So I was really impressed by the scale of the operation.
75,000 square feet.
I didn't notice it from the street. And then like as we're getting into the walking tour and you're telling me about a lot of the intentionality behind the operation, that just got me more excited. You know, I mean, you went from everything from the pre-loved shoes aspect and they being repurposed in the island of Haiti. You talked about the families that are running businesses and the fact that this space is, you know, multifaceted and, you know, layered in intentionality.
And we're right here in Little Haiti, so we're
right here in Little Haiti.
This is we're on the edge of Little Haiti.
Mm-hmm. Little Haiti, Little River, right?
Little River, Little Haiti, yeah, and then Wynwood's to the south.
Yep.
And Design District. And then you got Little Havana more to the south. But yeah, Little Haiti's right here. So many of the Haitians in the community work here. Yeah,
this is inspiring to me. I mean, you know, you spoke to me a little, you introduced me to one of the co-founders and just told me a little bit about the history of this operation, that it's it's in the family.
It's a family business.
It's a family business. Yeah. And that's inspirational to me, right? Because, you know, when I look at Hip House or when I look at Pebble, right, my tech company, you know, I want to have longevity in these businesses, not only because there is a problem to solve, but also ultimately, like, the problem might not go away as soon as I anticipate. And so, like, it's going to take more than Aaron Jordan, even on this level. It's going to take generations.
And it's a legacy for you and
your
family.
Correct, yeah.
And also your friends and the community that gets involved.
Correct, man.
I'm so excited to have HIPHOUSE Festival. When do you think you're going to do it?
Yeah, man. So we're looking at November the 15th, 2025.
Okay. So we got some time.
That's our tentative date. We got some time. We're actually doing what we call lead-up events. And so, like, so far this year, we've done 3 lead-up events. We did 2 at Citizen M. One was the open house, the Hip House open house, which was, you know, exactly what it sounds like. It was an opportunity for people to come in and learn more about the event and plug in any way that they see fit. And then we had another event at Citizen M called the Mixer and Cocktail Happy Hour, which was the open house, but it was a little more vibed up. Like, we were on the rooftop with Citizen M. We had music, drinks, cocktails. There was a panel. We did it in partnership with my good friend Brianna Fleming, who's the founder of Gym Social, who is our talent partner. And so all talent, photographers, DJs, videographers, etc., they'll be coming through Gym Social to sign up for our project or to sign up to be a part of the festival. And then we had the Planet Party over at the Arlo on the rooftop. It was actually my birthday as well. But it was exactly what it sounds like. We were partying for the planet.
It's so cool that you did something on your birthday to help the cause and to help, you know, build your new movement.
Thank you. Yeah.
Versus just going out on a yacht and
exactly, right? I could have been wasteful, but you know, one of my homies, he told me, he was like, bro, he's like, shout out to you, man. He was like, people live here their whole lives, and a lot of them don't have rooftop birthday parties. And he was like, you did it in under a year. I was like,
there's Arlo in Miami Beach?
Think about it. Arlo is in Wynwood. It's in Wynwood.
I've heard of it. I just haven't been to
beautiful. It's beautiful. And
Wynwood is a spot.
Wynwood is definitely one of the hot spots. So much good food, and you know, we're having
some
one
venues
more
too that might work for you for some of these pop-ups. So
let me know, man. We've got one more that's coming up. I think I told you about it. It'll be on Earth Day at Mids Market.
Yes. Oh, we love Mids Market.
Yeah, we love Mids Market.
I'm going there next Friday for a spaghetti dinner.
I'm going.
Yeah,
I pay my little money.
Me
I'm going.
Me too. $7, bro.
Like, it's like you get $7 for spaghetti.
You get Radiate Kombucha, a local company, which is a healthy drink.
The kombucha.
Yeah, Radiate. They give you some kombucha. I brewed kombucha for the last 25 years.
So you know about fermentation and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've brewed like thousands of batches, or I don't know about thousands, but I've been a kombucha fan for like 30 years.
Nice.
Like,
okay.
But like, forget about that. Like, Radiate is a great local company. So shout out to Radiate. They're always supporting the events. And then they're going to have spaghetti there for us.
I can't wait to eat
And then
spaghetti.
we're going to talk with Debris Free Ocean.
Debris Free Ocean,
which is
Maddie.
the one hosting it, Maddie Kaufman.
Yep.
And we're going to, Zero Waste Miami. That's her, the group's.
Her operation,
Her and Amanda DePerna. I want to give a big shout out to Amanda too, because Amanda and Maddie. We're going to see them all there. Mids Market is like 3 blocks from Sneaker Impact, and they focus on secondhand. It's like a secondhand thrift
What did you call it again? Pre-loved.
Pre-loved.
Is it pre-loved?
Like, they got like a vinyl area there where you can listen to vinyl and then buy
It's going to be a whole vibe. But I want to use that. I like that pre-loved.
You can use it.
You know what I mean?
Use it.
Like, I think
use it in your marketing.
That definitely puts a different perspective and framework around.
Yeah.
And again, makes sustainability. So, okay, kind of backing up, going back to Hip House for just a second. Like, another big inspiration was like we need to make sustainability accessible, right? Like, we shouldn't be trying to gatekeep sustainability. We shouldn't be trying to gatekeep climate action. Like, we should make it palatable and digestible for as many people as possible, because we'll need as many people as possible to put a dent in the wreckage that humans have caused, right? And so a festival, I believe, in Miami, right, a city that you don't have to sell to anybody. Everybody knows Miami's beautiful. And what is also equally as true is when you get kind of under the layer of like Miami, you start to see some of the blemishes, frankly, that we've contributed to. Again, the hotter summers, the flooding, you know.
The Bay's had a lot of fish kills.
The Bay is polluted, right? And similar to my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky, you know, we're cleaning Beargrass Creek, which is a creek that goes through Kentucky, but a major part of it goes through Louisville and Jefferson County. And so, you know, for me, like, I enjoy our parks. Our parks in Louisville, Kentucky are some of the best in the nation. They were designed by the Olmsted firm, who is the same guys who built the Central Park up in New York.
Okay.
And so our park system is one of the country's best park systems. And to see, like, all this wildlife and recreation going on, but then you look down at the creek and then there's like plastic bags and just like all kind of used crap in it, you know, everything from bikes to tires. And it's just like, you know, we're able to make a little dent because that council member, shout out to Ben Rena Weber, actually, out in Louisville, Kentucky, man. One of his first actions when he came into office was to clean Beargrass Creek Park.
I love it.
And, you know, to your point, like the work that you're doing here in Little River, like that stuff matters and it adds up. And if we can scale, like if there are like one Aaron Jordan, one Brian, that's cool. But like imagine 10,000 Brians, 10,000 Aarons that are inspired to go do similar work, right? Like now we're talking impact, which you know all about.
Yeah, sneaker impact. We got you a shirt today. Got you a gray over there. Yeah. We're going to be giving out shirts at HIPHOUSE Festival for people that recycle with us. I heard we're going to have an incentive for recycling.
Yes, man.
With your Juneteenth event, you were getting thousands of people to come.
Correct.
So tell us like what your goals are for Miami and how many thousands have come to your Juneteenth event.
So the Louisville Juneteenth Festival, our first year had 6,000 attendees. It was grassroots. We didn't have any corporate sponsorship. Literally, we got one check for $2,500 that I was able to give to the sound guy to bring in a stage and like pay for the back line. And that was just a hard cost that we really couldn't get around. But everything else, like everything from like tables, tents, snacks for volunteers, like everything was like from a Facebook post that I put out.
Wow.
We had two Facebook groups called No Justice, No Peace. Mm-hmm. They both had 8,000 active users in both. So essentially we had 16,000 people that were ready to get active pretty much at any time. It was a very intense time. I mean, it was to the point where like you go outside and you look up to see helicopters to know where the action and where the protesting was going on. So, you know, from there we scaled to 10,000 attendees. We have partners everywhere. Yeah, man, we've got partners from,
in 5 years, you got up to 10,000 attendees. Because I put on smaller music festivals with like 400 people.
We got to 10,000 in our second year, actually.
Oof, you must have had a whole crew.
And we sustained it. But yeah, man, like I have a great team. Shout out to Erica. Shout out to Essence. Shout out to DJ Carmen. Shout out to Jamie. Shout out to my advisory board members. We pride ourselves in, you know, we're the largest local Black-led festival in the state, and we're the largest Juneteenth festival in the state, the largest Juneteenth celebration in the state. We're actually ordained or proclaimed and acclaimed by the Kentucky State Senate and the Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. And, you know, we had over 100 vendors. We contribute to tourism. We contribute to economic empowerment, to local businesses, to workforce development, to the creative economy. And so with Hip House, we want to do the exact same thing, right? Like how can we contribute to workforce development through internship programs or through, you know, being able to hire and recruit local talent, whether that's a vendor management coordinator or if that is, you know, stage hands, et cetera, hiring locally for the folks that put together the stage and the sound systems and the engineers and, you know, we got to bring out porta potties. How do we make sure that we prioritize a local company to do all these little nuances? And again, contributing to workforce development. When you think about tourism, right, like the beach itself, the historic Virginia Key Beach Park itself is it's a gym. And so how do we continue to get people to come through the Key Biscayne to see that natural gym, that natural habitat, and to grow their own relationship with it, not only from a historic standpoint, but also for the future sake of the park. So yeah, tourism, workforce development, job creation, supporting small businesses through vendors, and then ultimately being able to plant trees or being able to repurpose pre-loved shoes and things of that nature, really just tie in neatly to our through line, which is, we want to make things sustainable. We want to make everything sustainable, from the build out of the stage to the artists that we're putting on the stages. Sure. It could be their first time even talking about sustainability.
Yes, you're not.
That's not a problem.
You're not just looking for the biggest names
Correct.
to come. You're looking to get like students involved. Like
Correct.
I can imagine high schools and universities, and going
out
to some of the.
I thought about high schools. Dealing with the public school system, I would say it's kind of tricky.
Oh, you're going to need obviously like a volunteer coordinator and stuff.
Correct.
But you get to make these decisions. But I love that you're not just looking for like the most high end artist.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you're looking for people that are.
We need a collaboration. We need a combination
that want to really also get behind the movement.
Correct.
And aren't just looking for a big paycheck.
Correct. There was a woman who showed up to one of our mixer events, Citizen M, and she posed that exact question during the panel. She was like, well, how are you going to get students involved? And I was just thinking, like, I think that there is a space, specifically like K through 12 age students. Okay. Because if I'm being frank, the festival, it's not going to be like the family kind of, like, there will be some lyrics in the music, okay. There'll be booze and there'll be cocktails, and it's really targeted towards millennials, Gen Z, adults, frankly, 21 and over adults.
But you're going to focus on recycling all that stuff.
Correct.
And not using plastic straws.
Correct. No plastic straws.
Biodegradable cups.
Biodegradable. There's even a guy who came to me about sandbags, like, that you use to weight down tents. Yeah. And he makes it out of like repurposed glass. Yeah,
I saw that out of Louisiana. There was this couple that makes. They rebuilt the bayou area. They're helping rebuild in Baton Rouge, I think it was, or New Orleans, and they're using. They're collecting glass from the community. I just saw it the other day on Facebook, and they're putting it in sandbags, and it's helping to. They plant like these reeds in it, that grow.
Oh, wow.
That help to prevent the hurricanes from destroying it. But the mangroves, people are replanting the mangroves Correct. Down here, and the coral reefs. So, trees too. But yeah, native stuff, especially. I'm an ecologist. I got a degree in botany and in ecology from the University of Wisconsin. So, but you got Debris-Free Ocean and some of the other people on your team that I know will help you get connected to.
Correct.
And I heard that you're even talking to people like, some of these agencies you mentioned the other day to me. Do you want to give any of them a shout out, or are you still in the negotiations?
Once we have ink signed, then I'm happy to give shout outs.
But he's got some big partners involved that have been big music partners.
Yes, I'm really excited. Once we lock down and firm up everything, kind of harkening back to the festival, and shout out to anybody who's doing festivals. Yeah, festivals is not easy work. It's so many moving parts. You got to be really passionate, really high energy. You got to be able to take on a lot of stress, and you got to be able to move teams and be a great leader. What I'll say about the festival industry in general, if you're looking to get into festivals, or if you're interested in working with festivals, contracts are the name of the game. Nothing's final until it is final.
You're right.
I've been doing festivals for now 6 years. I've had conversations with some of the biggest players in the game, and then for whatever reason, people have had to pull out. Like even right now, usually it could be anything from marketing dollars to like something big just came up in our company. Like, I don't like to get political, but you can't talk about environmentalism without talking about politics. I think they kind of just have a relationship. With these executive orders and with sort of uncertainty going on in the stock market, tariffs, all these different things, partners could say like, hey, we don't know that we can do this thing because our bottom line is being impacted, and the marketing dollars that we thought we had, we don't have them anymore. I've had those conversations. Actually, for the Juneteenth Festival, somebody, a big hospital that has partnered with us now for 4 years in a row, they told me, they were like, we have to hold off on our contract because they have to make sure that they're in DEI compliance. And so, like, sometimes people don't understand, like, the implications that what's happening in D.C. have on what's happening in our local municipalities. And then also, like, sometimes our local governments are in lockstep with things that might be antithetical to things like sustainability and
Yeah.
environmentalism. So it's tricky.
Would you say it's the biggest challenge you're facing is the
Funding.
change
Funding is the biggest challenge because, you know, I mean, fundraising is challenging no matter how you flip it. Like, whether it's my tech company or whether it's for the festivals, it's challenging in that, like, you're a salesman, right? Like, you're putting together your presentations and you're getting all of your points down and you're making sure that there's some alignment with the organization that you're approaching and the project that you're pitching. And then, you know, it's just like the ratio of success. You're gonna get no's, but you're also gonna get yeses. And I believe that those yeses, you know, they become more, you appreciate them more because of the amount of no's that you go through. But that's in anything.
Yeah, you have to be
in life.
willing to take 20 no's before you get a yes or 30.
Correct.
And
Sometimes 100.
No sometimes just means no right now.
Yeah, not right now. That's all I see it as.
Yeah,
I like to circle back to partners the next year and show my
Exactly,
impact report and say, hey, this is what we've done, and maybe take a second look at this.
That perseverance, you know, not giving up. I can see that spirit in you.
Thank you, man.
Plus, being an event organizer, you know, I helped put on Miami Mushroom Fest about 4 years ago.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about Miami.
Yeah, so we
Mushroom Fest.
educate people about all the benefits of mushrooms, not only for your body and your mind, because they're used for depression, they're also used for focus.
Yep.
Like there's, you know, the legal, we call those functional mushrooms. I created a product called Ultimate Shrooms for a company in Miami Beach called Live Ultimate.
Okay.
And it's still around, and it was one of the most popular mushroom powders in the U.S.
Wow.
And it was 8 different mushroom species. And they were like cordyceps, reishi, lion's mane. You know, these are for
Some of the good
brain
ones.
function and
Yeah.
energy. The cordyceps is for energy.
Yep.
Olympians use it. And these are from China, and they're from the U.S. And they're grown organically in the mountains. So a lot of people, when they think of mushrooms, they think of psilocybin, the hallucinogen or the psychedelic, which we also educated about. But we also put on the waivers, we do not approve the sale or use of psychedelics.
Correct.
Because we're only an educational arm. We had artists there, we had performers, we were a music festival first and foremost, but we also had an education stage and a wellness stage.
Yep.
I was in charge of the education stage as
Nice.
Brian the botanist, but I also performed on the main stage. I was actually an opener on the first day, you know. So
And you're a DJ?
yeah, I'm a DJ. I play deep house, progressive house. I play melodic. I play open format. I played in the Keys last weekend at Key Largo.
Nice.
I play all throughout the Keys in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area for a music agency. I also get my own gigs, but I don't play clubs just because, you know, I don't really live that lifestyle anymore. I tried it a little bit in my 30s, and it just didn't match with my athletic career, which I'm a marathon runner.
Yep.
And you know, Sneaker Impact, I've really found my home, and music is one of my side passions, but I would love to be a part, you know, of my music too. You know, I don't produce yet, but I have friends that are producers and, you know, that are very accomplished artists in Miami that I'd love to introduce you to. But I've heard you've gotten a ton of submissions already.
We've gotten a ton of submissions. Nothing's final with any artist yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really too early on the production side.
Of course.
I've been getting some numbers of different DJs and artists that we are interested in.
Are some of them outside of Miami?
Some of them are outside of Miami. I mean, we've got some pretty ambitious advisory board members who are really, you know, pushing me to take this thing to another level beyond the level that I was imagining it at. And so that's always reassuring when people see the potential of what you're working on and want to amplify it, which is why I'm so, again, appreciative that you were so receptive about Sneaker Impact being a partner with us, you know, like, you guys are doing something incredible here.
You sent me an email, I think, actually, because you asked me for my email. And, you know, sometimes we get a lot of, you know, spam, and we get a lot of, you know, cold stuff where we have no idea who this person is, and they could live outside
I'm
the
a stranger.
country. Yeah, but I was
a stranger.
I was like, HIPHOUSE Festival, and then I looked at your message, and then I remembered you reaching out through Zero Waste and saying, hey, I love what you guys are doing at Sneaker Impact. I want to get you involved.
Yep.
And then I'm a very open-hearted person. I've learned that it's not just about being open-minded, it's about being open-hearted.
Correct. Yep.
And, you know, my family, my mom in Wisconsin and my dad raised me, you know, to, you know, understand that, you know, some of our, you know, biggest black leaders in our history, like Martin Luther King Jr. and, you know, Malcolm X and all these other amazing leaders throughout the history, you know, and how important they are, and to not judge people based on the color of their skin, because we all have the same color blood, and we're all one. It's one planet. We have no planet B.
We're one race.
We need to get along.
Yeah.
And it's just so silly to me. And I've never understood like warfare. Like, it's driving me insane what's going on in the world the last 10 years. You know, like, I don't want anyone to die ever.
Yeah.
I watch YouTube videos where people are rescuing animals. that are on death's doorstep, and then they
Yep.
nurse them back to health, and it makes me want to cry. Or I watched
I
the
do cry,
movie
I'm not gonna
Wall-E.
lie.
Yeah, I watched the movie Wall-E on a flight to Bogota a couple weeks ago. I'd never watched the whole thing, and
Yeah.
Wall-E's a robot who recycles, and he's my hero. And the Earth had been
Wall-E.
trashed, and no one else was on it. This has come up in a couple of podcasts recently. I'm like, Wall-E is like doing Sneaker Impact's
He's doing the work.
in like the year 2900 when the
Fire.
Earth has been abandoned,
Wow.
and they're all living on a spaceship. And they have like a
Do
million
you think
people
that we're
on the
going to be
spaceship.
living on a spaceship?
I don't think so, no. There's no planet B. That's what our founder says. And I think there's enough people on this planet that care about it that I think that even with all these weapons of mass destruction and the military industrial complex, you know, and how much money they're making, like I still feel
Oil
like
and-
there's someone protecting us. And I think it's also enough humans that care that are doing the right thing, and that's keeping the shift from giving up.
Yep.
You should never give up, first of all. But, you know, I have a lot of hope for the planet. And I see, even though there's all the, you know, destruction of the rainforest and the oceans are turning into plastic, then you got the Ocean Cleanup Project.
Yep.
And then you got For Ocean. You know, they're out of Boca Raton, and they're paying fishermen to retrieve plastic out of the ocean. They're making bracelets out of it. They're educating. You got all these nonprofits that are cleaning up the rivers in Guatemala and all these places around the world where, unfortunately, you know, they don't have first world sanitation.
Yep.
And so their dumps are, for these major cities, are right outside the city in a gorge, and it all goes right into the ocean through the rivers.
Yep.
Then they got these river interceptors out there that the nonprofits are putting out there that are collecting billions of tons of plastic waste. And then they're using that plastic waste for things like, you know, they can now make them into, you know, new things, you know, and then you saw
Everything
Sneaker
from
Impact.
surfboards
Yeah.
to bottles.
Anything.
Jewelry.
They have ways now, you know, but we have to prevent as much as we can the, you know, littering and the waste. And that's what I was telling you earlier on the tour. Only 13% of Americans recycle their footwear when they're done with it, their shoes. So we need to change that alarming statistic. We
Get
need
that
to,
number up.
And our only competition, the first day I worked here, our founder told me, Brian, our only competition is the landfill. Not any other recycling company, not any other nonprofit, the landfill. It's like basically we're up against the matrix.
What do you think about
yeah.
the landfill crisis here in Miami?
Yeah, I mean, I heard you bring it up in the intro, and, you know, we lost one of our only 2 incinerators. There was one in Broward County, and then there was one in Miami to serve all of South Florida, like 8 million residents, right? And it's a very sensitive area because we have the Everglades nearby and the oceans. So our Doral, you know, Doral's part of Miami, the Doral incinerator was, it was a major fire about 3 years ago, and it burned for like a week or two, and the whole incinerator facility was destroyed. And so South Florida lost
Think there was
one
an
of
act of
only
God
2.
or malfunction? Or?
I think it was just mismanagement. Like they didn't catch it quick enough.
Yeah.
Like they should have caught that. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how it started, but a fire started, and, you know, tires and all this stuff.
An
and,
alarm should have went off. And
yeah,
a
like
unit
how
should
did
have
they
been
not
there.
get like support out there quick enough?
Yeah.
How did it progress to the point that we lost an entire? And we're not talking about some little building. We're
Right.
talking about a mega industrial, you know, facility for processing trash.
Yeah.
Because we have Mount Trashmores, which they turn into Park. Mount Trashmore is just a term that they use for many different landfills. We have
that's so
landfills
messed
in
up.
Miami. We have, if you drive on the turnpike going
Mm-hmm.
north out of Broward, you'll see a major landfill that's still active,
Mm-hmm.
just outside of like the Fort Lauderdale area, but a little bit inland. But then there's one in Weston that they made into a park called Vista View. And it's a beautiful park, and you never would have known it's a landfill previously, but they restored it, they capped it, and they also they made it into this giant mountain hill. So the runners go out there and train, and other people use it, you know, besides runners.
And there's trash under it?
Yeah, but they cap it. And so like there's
that
an
mean?
environmental standard where basically capping means that they don't just cover it with soil. Like there's other ways. Like I'm not an expert in this, but I don't know if they're using concrete or if they're using
They
you know,
seal it in
wrappers.
so that it doesn't go into the
Yeah,
environment.
exactly. That doesn't leach as easily. Like when they build a landfill, my understanding is they don't just dig a hole. You know, it's more complex than that. You know, they have ways to prevent it a little bit, probably from going into like the local water supply, the watershed, the aquifers. But, you know, when they restore, you know, and I have a background in restoration ecology. I used to restore the forests, prairies, and wetlands of Wisconsin
Nice.
for 10 years, you know, and battle invasive species, do prescribed burning and all this stuff. But, you know, down here, when they restore a landfill to a park, you can't even tell when you use it as a park. There's no trash anywhere. There's no smell. There's birds everywhere. There's dragonflies. There's fish. It's beautiful. So they know what they're doing. They bring in the experts. It's not perfect, but they're doing a pretty darn good job. and we can always improve upon it. But this isn't just some simple bulldoze some dirt over the landfill and call it a day. You know, no. Like you'd have like smell galore coming out of there. Like you can't tell this is a landfill. I mean, you go to Vista View someday. It's called Vista View Park up in Davie. Davie's just west of Fort Lauderdale. Yep. So shout out to, you know, Broward County. But yeah, our only incinerator right now is in Broward County to serve all of the residents of South Florida. So they're actually shipping a lot of the trash, like you said, to other counties and way to the north. That's not sustainable long term. It's very expensive, and it's not their trash. You know, we shouldn't be shipping trash overseas. Sneaker Impact has a promise that we will never ship any trash to any country with our shoes or our clothing. We will never ship trash. The trash that we have, we deal with here. We have a grinding program. We have people come by that buy or they take the cardboard left over from a lot of our boxes because we have so much cardboard from all of our boxes.
I can imagine. Yeah, the operation is crazy.
Our founder told me that someone comes to collect the cardboard every week and that they recycle it, but they make money off of it.
Nice.
So
yeah,
it's not going into a landfill.
More jobs, creating more jobs.
But we used to send some of our end of life to the incinerator, and the incinerator had filters on it that would scrub the tar, or not, I don't know if it's called tar, but like it would scrub the pollutants out of it. Okay. So like in Europe, they build nuclear power plants now and incinerators that are very environmentally friendly. These are not the nuclear power plants of our grandma and grandpa or our parents. Like they're cutting edge now where like there's so many safeguards in place, and you can learn about that. Like there's a big misconception about nuclear power nowadays. It's actually the cleanest.
I thought the nuclear energy is, I thought it scares zap us.
Well, no, I mean, you know, they're actually going to start like building AI power centers now. Like Google is using nuclear generators for their AI power centers, I heard. And the same thing in outer space, they're going to be using it. Because like there's nuclear fission. I mean, now we're going down more
we jumped into a deep rabbit hole.
But, you know, I'm just saying that the technology has progressed just like AI has come and made its name. Yep. You know, nuclear power has become a much cleaner and safer way than Fukushima and Chernobyl. When people hear these things, of course they should be scared. But those are very old power plants. Yeah. You know, and then we have one here in Miami called Turkey Point, which you can do some research on. But they say it can withstand a Cat 5, but we don't want that to ever happen. But that was even built in the 70s or whatever. The ones that they can build now, you know, they don't maybe produce as much waste either, because with nuclear waste you have to like bury it, or you have to like put it in a pool or something, and you have to like Superfund sites, and you gotta like, it takes thousands of years, just like a pair of shoes. I mean, a pair of shoes can take 500 to 1,000 years to decompose.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But you know, now with modern plastics, you know, it's game changer. You know, we had a expert on last week, 2 podcasts ago, about the microplastic crisis and the plastic. They use plastic pellets like the size of like a grain of rice, and they ship them across the country on these train cars, and sometimes they forget to close the valve when the train starts, and it just is trailing plastic along the train tracks the whole way. She told me that, and she works for the government, and she told me about how at the plants where they make the plastic pellets, because the plastic pellets they use to make everything, like our cell phone cases, our water bottles, the toys our children use, they all start with pellets. Plastic pellets.
And they probably use heat to like...
Yeah, exactly. Molds, heat. But when they're making the plastic pellets, there's a lot of issues that sometimes some fall on the floor, they fall out the door. You know, like there's a lot of spillage. And so no one's regulating it really. Like she said, only California has a law in the books. No other states track and companies aren't polluting intentionally. It's just accidents happen. Just like when that river, I forget where it was, that river in the last couple of years in the U.S. that like got completely trashed. I forget. It was like there was a train derailment. It was in like Pennsylvania or something.
I'm not sure, but I think I heard something about it in the news.
It was a big deal a couple of years ago, and we need to, you know, the problem with our society, if I can have my little pedestal,
get on that soapbox, please.
Is that like we quickly forget and move on from one topic to the next.
Correct.
You know, and some celebrity will steal, you know, thunder of a more important social topic.
Correct.
But, you know, we need to stay focused on sustainability, because there's no planet B, and we're literally, you know, creating a plastic ocean. They did a study the other day that each year the average human consumes like 90,000 plastic particulates. They're in our brains. They're in our breast tissue.
They said that we all have about a spoonful, about a tablespoon of plastic.
But if you don't use plastic bottles, which I love to see your glass here.
Yes.
If you don't use plastic bottles, that one action alone, I read in a study yesterday, will reduce your microplastic intake from 90,000 parts to 4,000 parts. So
Dang,
just
that's
not.
a-
So I'm a
that's-
yeah.
That's a big
Deal.
jump. Yeah.
So at HIPHOUSE Festival, we can't have any plastic bottles.
No plastics.
Yeah, and encourage
Yeah.
people to bring reusables and give
We
them.
actually
an
have a
incentive.
partnership that we're working on. We're really, really close to closing the deal. We're like an email away from finalizing the deal.
Yeah.
Most of the deal has been inked. There's just like some marketing stuff we want to tidy up, but it's with a super dope, environmentally friendly, super environmentally conscious water brand. I can say that much.
Good. You need a good water company.
We need a great water company.
Ultra, same thing. You know, all these big
Yeah,
music.
I just saw a post about Ultra. So I didn't know much about Ultra.
Oh my God,
I
it's the
moved
biggest
here.
festival.
I've been
50,000
learning.
people.
I've been learning. So yeah, shout out to Ultra again.
Global.
Shout out to
And they're doing a lot for
festival
waste reduction.
organizers.
Yeah.
They are. So I saw a post
Yeah.
by the DDA, by the Downtown Development Association or
Yeah, you got it
authority.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And they had an Ultra like a workshop or something, or maybe like a little seminar. But they were basically like telling people about the sustainability work that Ultra is doing. So shout out to a festival of that magnitude that's already in the sustainability work. You know, while Hip House is the only like climate focused festival, right? Because like I literally built it for climate action. You know, it doesn't, again, I'm not a gatekeeper of climate, right?
Yep.
And I think that everybody should be doing their part. And it's awesome that a festival to that scale is already like showing the world that like we can have fun, we can do dope things, and we can also like save our planet in the process. We
And
don't
they're
have
right
to,
on the bay at Bayfront
and they're right on the
Park.
bay at Bayfront
So they have a
Park.
big responsibility.
When I first moved here last year, actually, I'm coming up on my year anniversary on the 22nd. When I moved here last year, I remember riding the bus from South Beach, and I was just going up towards North Beach. And I remember I got off like around Fountain Blue area, and there was like just so many people. And it was raining so bad. But I knew that everybody was coming from the Ultra Music Festival. So I knew it was a big deal when I moved here. I just didn't know much about it.
Yeah, Miami Music Week. It's in March. It's
Yeah.
actually this month.
Yeah.
The end of the month.
Yep. So this is my year anniversary. Maybe we'll toast some kombucha.
Man, I
next
mean, Aaron,
weekend.
you just landed here yesterday, and
Yeah.
I was like texting you on Monday, like, hey, or last week, like, what day do you arrive again? And then yesterday, I'm like, yo, welcome to Miami.
Yes, man. I
'Cause,
appreciate
like,
it.
I've been willing to pick you up from the airport, man. Like, I got mad love for
Don't
what you're
tell
up
me
to,
that, man.
No,
Listen.
I tell all my friends.
Hey,
that.
Brian, the Uber
Listen.
said it's going to be $1,000.
No. I got an EV, not that it matters, but I'll come pick you up. We're neighbors now.
We are.
I'm not going to dox where you're living.
I appreciate
but
that.
you're about 3 miles from me. And I tell ex-girlfriends, I tell best friends, I tell acquaintances, Sneaker Impact colleagues that come, like our partners.
Yeah, man.
We pick them up at the airport, and our founder puts them into an Airbnb, and stuff that he owns.
well,
And like,
that's
and like
fire.
we bring them by to have, and we get, some healthy food, and we like have a salad with them. We got a salad, so we're like, we break bread, and like, I think that it's a forgotten love to like offer an airport pickup or an airport drop off. Like
I'm from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Hospitality is
Yeah.
the name of the game.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
and we're fast friends already. I can tell.
Yeah,
We
man.
have a lot of
musicians.
caring about the environment,
Caring about the environment.
and social good,
Yep.
and equality. So it's an honor to
My
have
uncle's
you in the
name is
studio.
Brian too, by the way.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
With a Y.
Not with a Y. With
That's
an
okay.
I. Yeah.
I love both.
He's pretty cool though.
No,
He's
I
pretty
love
cool.
the eyes too. I meet so many Brians out there, and I always got to ask because I'm with a Y.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's just interesting because we're all Brians.
Yeah, so my name is Aaron, and of course you can think of all the different derivatives
Sure.
that you can spell my name. But I wanted to ask you one question.
Yeah.
Maybe two. But the first one was, what advice would you give to people who want to break into climate action but just don't know where to start? A lot of the festival attendees it might be their first time coming into contact with climate reality and with climate change aspects of having fun, right? So
There's a lot of resources on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are using social media, like on Instagram, I don't use TikTok, but I use Instagram and YouTube. I live on YouTube.
I love YouTube.
Shout out to YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel.
yeah,
and
yeah,
smash
yeah.
a like
Oh,
button.
click. What did it say? Click. What do the people be saying when they do the podcast? They say
Smash it.
Yeah, smash the like button, subscribe.
Destroy the like button.
Destroy the like button. Make sure you turn your notifications on.
Turn your notifications on for Sneaker Impact, and please subscribe. We're at 123 subscribers.
Yes.
Once we get to 500.
123?
Yeah.
You want to know something funny?
Yeah.
Maybe it's coincidence. My angel number for the longest has been 123.
Oh my God.
If
that's
I
where we're
show
at
you when we
today.
get done, I'll show you some screenshots.
think we hit 124 because my older brother just subscribed.
Well, damn, don't fuck it up for us just yet, bro. Because when I was trying to decide if I was going to move to Miami, I just started 1, 2, 3 just kept like coming up. So I made a little jingle for myself. So it was like 1, 2, 3 Miami.
That's so random that I came up with that.
So that was crazy.
Because it was at 1, 2, 3 earlier today. And so once you get to 500, you can they allow you to monetize the channel, which we've been working hard for 1 year. You're going to be our 34th episode in season 1.
Is this
34?
Is this? Am I the right way on the camera or is it
close enough?
Wait. Oh, I can look at myself. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
3,
4. And we're still in season 1. At our 1 year anniversary is in April. So when we hit the 1 year anniversary, I'll move it to season 2. We'll have a jingle. You know, we'll start to. We're gonna have you back many times, Aaron. We're gonna have you on the live. I mean, we're not done with the interview yet. I got some more questions for you.
Okay, cool.
About your youth and about some other stuff. But I just to finish your question, you know, what can people do besides social media? You go on there, you type in sustainability, you type in recycling, start getting inspired by what other people are up to.
I love that.
And then you're also going to learn that there are organizations in every community.
Correct.
When people think of Miami, they think of parties, they think of the club, they think of the beach,
the yachts.
That's what they think of. But if, you know, and when I first moved here in 2008. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, and we're a very progressive town up there. And all my friends are like, Miami. They're like, are you some like
celebrity at this point?
Are you some celebrity all of a sudden? Like, are you just partying 24/7 down there? I'm like, no, I'm part of all these communities because when I moved down here, I found the running community, and it's grown a lot. There's a healthy community in Miami. There's also people into sustainability, yoga. There's people into consciousness down here. Yep. Whatever your background is. If you're into knitting, I'm sure there's a knitting community. Go on meetup.com. Look on Facebook. On Facebook, all these organizations.
There's groups for everything.
There's Clean Miami Beach. You can go out there and clean the beaches with Sophie Ringel, and she's got hundreds of volunteers every week cleaning the beach. She was on the podcast. So you just need to go on social media. It doesn't matter if you live in Kansas. I always pick on Kansas, or Kathmandu, you're going to find some organization that you can volunteer with or just meet people with, make friends. And then so social media is the first step and just finding people in your community that you can hang out with. Second step would be stop using plastic bags and use a reusable bag and stop using plastic bottles. So that's my quick advice because you can make a big impact by just stopping using plastic bags at the grocery store. Like at Publix, I'm gonna pick on but Publix actually has their reusable bags. But some grocery stores like Aldi's, they won't let you use.
Aldi doesn't even have them. Yeah.
You got to bring your own bag to Aldi's, and I shop at Aldi's every week. So
I love Aldi. They have some of the best food.
It's affordable, and I can't afford.
It's affordable, and some of the products have different standards than what like U.S. food and USDA.
Yeah, it's a German company.
Yeah, so sometimes we reap the benefit of like not having certain chemicals or elements in.
But just get I've got in my trunk underneath the little floorboard. I've got like 30 reusable green bags that I've accumulated over the years.
If you're at Publix and you see Brian, man, ask to borrow a bag.
Exactly. Or buy one and just bite the bullet and buy one for $2 or whatever, $5.
It's worth it.
Or just repurpose something, or reuse your plastic bags at home for garbage bags, which a lot of people do. They repurpose the bag for garbage instead of buying a garbage bag. And then with plastic bottles,
I grew up doing that.
Yeah, same for me.
I grew up. My mom would hang when we were really, really young.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom. She would hang like a bag on the counter on the cabinet, like on the hook of the cabinet.
Hook. Yeah.
And get as much use out of that bag as possible.
Yeah. And plastic bottles you can buy nowadays. They got box water.
Yeah.
They also have box water. You can just reuse something like you've got here, or you can buy glass. I've got tons of those reusable things in my cupboard. Even the glass kombucha, I reuse it to make my own kombucha. I don't throw it in. And then if you do need to throw it out, get it into the garbage bin and just recycle. It's just the stuff your mom taught us. Like. Our moms
when it comes to recycling, are they really?
So some municipalities do and some don't, but do the best you can do.
Yeah.
And also go to some of these meetings. Like Miami recently had a recycling meeting with the city.
Last week. No, it was earlier this week.
Like the city had this big meeting where residents can come because they're making all these decisions.
Yep. It was on the 3rd, I think.
But yeah, Miami Beach, they used to not recycle. Like I was working for this company out there and I was sorting everything in my office into recycling bins and stuff, what can go in and what can't. Yep. And then the building told me on Lincoln Road that, well, we don't have a recycling contract anymore in the city of Miami Beach. Like they're just putting it all in the same truck and taking it to the landfill. Yeah. Broke my heart because I was putting all that effort in, but I didn't give up. And, you can still recycle. There's ways to recycle. There's electronics recycling. Like
Yep.
they're doing one soon in the city of Miami. But
saw that,
Earth Week and Earth Day, they always, definitely don't throw your batteries and stuff and your computer stuff into the
trash.
landfill.
Yeah.
And they have now the city of Miami, they do a mattress pickup. You can schedule it. So when you're done with your mattress, you don't have to throw it. Some people just throw it on the side of the road. You can schedule a pickup. Same for appliances. So there's always a solution. You just have to go to Google or whatever you use. Brave, I guess. I don't want to just shout out Google.
The first thing we have to do is be conscious, though.
Yeah,
like you have to care. Like if you don't know,
yeah.
then you can't do.
And
right?
I guess everyone has a different struggle. Some people don't have the time, or they don't have the resources in the sense that they're struggling just to like feed their kids or whatever.
Yep.
Mo, you want to come in and say hi real quick to Aaron? That's okay.
Hey Mo.
You can come on the podcast.
Hey man, how you doing?
It's our founder, Mo.
Nice to meet you, Mo.
Thank you for coming, man. Thank you for coming, man.
Yeah,
this is a crazy operation, and I love it. I love everything about
Thanks,
it.
man. Thanks.
Crazy
Got
cool.
Mo in here. What's up,
Yeah.
Mo?
Whoa! Hey, Aaron. Thank you for coming, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
All right. Yeah, we're finishing up the podcast, but Aaron's telling us all about HIPHOUSE Festival
Yeah.
and sustainability and where he comes from. That's he was raised that way, and he's bringing the climate action and the education to Miami from Louisville.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Sneaker Impact's going to be involved, and yeah,
Muhammad Ali's from Louisville.
Get out of my head. I was literally about to say, so I went to Central High School. That's the high school that Muhammad Ali went to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved down here, I learned that Muhammad Ali he trained down here.
He
I
was
didn't know
trained in
that.
Miami, but he's from Kentucky.
Yeah, but he's
yeah,
from
he would
Kentucky.
run
he's from
along
Louisville.
the Julia Tuttle in his army boots. They
I
had
didn't
pictures
know
of
that
him.
until I moved because I would see
Yeah.
these Muhammad Ali murals, and I'm like, oh, that's dope because I just feel like I'm at home when I
And
see
he
the
fought
Ali
at the
mural.
Fillmore. That was where one of his big fights
Yep,
was. I don't know if
yep,
it
at
was
the Fillmore.
Frazier,
No,
but
he's from Louisville, man.
of course, yeah. But one of his big
But
fights was in
nobody
Miami
knows.
Beach.
People
I didn't know
thought
he was from Louisville.
Oh, you did?
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't
people
know.
thought he's
The
from
world's
Miami.
greatest boxer is from Louisville, Kentucky.
man, ever.
Yeah. And his last name, his real name is Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
My father's name is Leon Clay. And I think that I'm related. I don't go and look because like everybody in Louisville is like, oh, I'm related to Muhammad Ali. But I'm sure that there's something there from a DNA
Wow,
perspective.
And Mo's nephew is named Muhammad Ali.
Are you serious?
His middle name's Ali.
Dang.
Yeah.
So
Muhammad Ali
We
Hacham.
might have some
Muhammad Ali.
relationship there too.
We might be cousins.
Yeah, we might be cousins.
Yeah.
with Muhammad Ali.
Man.
Yeah, man. I actually met his wife and his one of his wives, man, and his son. I met them a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
beautiful people, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I missed his funeral. I'm like the only person that I know that's from Louisville I was in LA at the time in 2018 or 19, something like that. And it was a big deal. I watched it on the news. I was like, dang, I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, he's gonna go in history, one of the most influential people. People might remember him as a boxer, and that's fine.
Yep.
As a political
Activist.
Yeah.
activist,
Correct.
as just somebody who can say no and doesn't care, and he's gonna end up in jail for the rest of his life. I think there's a lot of chapters that will be written on Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
Because and you can pick whatever you want. You can pick the boxer, the resilient, the young black kid that would just say no, and I'm as good as everybody else and better.
Yeah.
I mean, you could.
And he said he was
Muhammad
pretty.
Ali- Muhammad Ali, man, he spoke, and his mind, and he thought he was better than everybody else.
Yeah, he was wild.
Greatest
He was
of all
wild.
time.
He would fly like a
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
I mean, and again, man, I think, man, there's a lot of chapters that would be written on his life, and I mean, you can pick that boxer
Yeah, he
corner, which is fine, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of corners on Muhammad Ali that will be told in the future, man.
You know, he when he won the Olympic gold medal, he chucked it into the Ohio River, which is right there north of Louisville, Kentucky, separates Kentucky from Indiana.
Yeah.
And so many times, going back to civil unrest for a bit, I remember standing in what was close to the very same spot that he stood where he threw that. And I kind of felt his sentiment at times, just in terms of like, you know, you fight for what you believe in, and then, you know, you feel like the fight might have been in vain. And I can just imagine that he felt so much of that in his lifetime. And yeah, I stand on the shoulders of giants, the likes of Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. I'm sure he'd be proud of where
I hope so.
the nation has come in the last 5 years. A little bit, maybe not as much lately, but maybe more like, you know, during the Black Lives Matter movement. That, like you said in Louisville, there was
Maybe,
a lot
I don't know.
A lot of Aaron had, 10,000 people come to his Juneteenth Festival in Louisville in year 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible. So now at Virginia Key, he's think in November he's going to do his next festival down here, and it's going to be all about sustainability, climate change, and music coming together.
Correct.
Yeah, we'd
Yeah.
love to
Sneaker
help in
Impact's
any way,
gonna be,
man.
yeah.
Thank you. Been there. Thank
Pleasure
you.
to meet you, Mo.
Pleasure,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mo, for coming through.
Thank you for coming, man.
Yeah.
Any way we can help, man, please call us.
Yes,
I
sir.
gave him a
Thank
mini
you.
tour
Thank you, Mo.
before, and yeah, he's
Thank you,
excited.
Mo.
Okay, bye, Mo.
See ya. Yeah,
So-
that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
But so you grew up, did you have any brothers and sisters? Tell us a little bit more about your early life.
Yeah, so I got one sibling that I grew up in the house with, who, like, usually when I think about, like, my upbringing, my siblings, I usually think of her because, like, we were in the house together.
Sure.
She's my mother's daughter, my sister. And then I have on my father's side, who are my half-brothers and sisters, I have 3 sisters and 1 brother.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have a sister, Sharia, on my mom's side. And then on my father's side, there's LaQuisha, Felicia, L'Oreal, and Ethan, my brother.
Very cool.
Yeah,
So
but
you
we
grew
didn't
up with
grow
some
up
sisters. I didn't have any sisters. I only had brothers, so that's cool.
Yeah, I met
With some
them.
sisters.
I met them in probably one of the most awkward ways that you can meet your siblings.
Do you want to share any more?
It's not too. It's kind of. Well, so L'Oreal, for example, we went to Central High School together, and I would always call her my play sister. Like I would always call her like sis, like hey sis. And then a year later, my father passed away, and at his funeral, I found out that we were actually brothers and sisters.
Oh my God.
Ain't that so weird?
Whoa.
And then I met Ethan, and I had always heard about LaQuisha, and I heard about Felicia. I didn't know them too well, but yeah, imagine meeting your siblings at a funeral. You know how like you go to the
Sorry about
repast
the
and
loss,
you eat
yeah.
food? Yeah, well, it was a minute ago. Thank you. It was in 2009.
Still,
I was
it's not easy. I have both my parents in my life, so
Yeah, it was
I
kind of
don't
tough.
know how you even deal with that.
Yeah, man.
Until it happens,
Yeah.
So when did you get so passionate about social activism and also environmentalism? Like, was it as a teenager?
Man.
Was there a certain moment, or was it just more of a progression?
Nah, man. I think that I have to give all the credit to my mother. My mama, her name is Sherry Jordan. She took me around the church at a super, super young age. We would do like these backpack giveaways with the church. We would go volunteer at backpack giveaways. I'm like 6 years old, 7 years old, school aged, passing backpacks to kids, volunteering, also needing a backpack myself. I worked at this place called the Lord's Kitchen. There were several programs that my church had when I was young. So another one of the programs was the Lord's Kitchen, where we would there was like a mobile truck.
Food pantry kind of.
And they would serve hot food to people that were houseless. So I've been in ministry, and then eventually I got into the music ministry as a drummer. So I've been in ministry since I was a young kid. Like my mom took me
So these
to
values,
serve. Yeah,
your mom helped instill in you, but also
Correct.
through your ministry work.
correct.
Wow.
Yeah, so
And they taught even a little bit about sustainability, or was that in climate change?
It
That probably
wasn't-
happened
it
a little
was-
later. More probably about like
sustainability
helping
happened
those
later.
less fortunate. I'm
correct. Yeah, like just having a heart of service.
I love that.
Was something that was instilled in me at a young age. And then going to like a high school, like Central High School, where like a lot of activists, like the first like black senators, some of the first like Muhammad Ali, like really staple figures in Kentucky went to Central High School. And so just always being raised around that kind of energy. I'm a graduate of Tennessee State University. Our motto is literally think, work, serve. So I've always consistently been of a mind of service. And then like I talked about earlier, in terms of like Bill Nye the Science Guy, I used to watch shows like Zaboomafoo and the Kratz Brothers and just a lot of paid programming. I'm a documentary head, like
Science stuff.
I've always loved animals. I used to want to be a veterinarian when I was younger. I went to
that's
high
so
school actually and studied veterinary science for 3 years.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be a veterinarian, but the luck of the draw would have it that I became an activist. And so, I always kind of like put myself in spaces where I was supporting activism around environmentalism, like community gardening, creating urban
Love
gardening.
community gardens, yeah. Urban gardens, that's amazing.
Urban gardens,
You know
getting
about
into
food deserts, I'm
food
sure.
deserts. Yeah, there's so many food deserts in Louisville, Kentucky. It's actually horrific. And Louisville is not an isolated event in America. There are tons of cities that are food deserts where
Yeah,
you
there's
can't,
some in Miami.
Yeah.
There used to be. They're getting better. There's probably still some too.
Yeah, like where you can't find fresh produce.
Yeah,
or
there's just a convenience store for like 3
Correct.
or 5 miles. You
Correct.
gotta drive 10 or 20 miles to get to
to get to the nearest grocery
quality
store.
yeah.
So yeah, man, like going to community cleanups and, cleaning out the creeks. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like somebody who has always been. My mama used to say, like, when I was a kid, she tells a story all the time. She says, when the school bus would come, whether you were the first one on the bus stop or the last one, if you were running up to the line as the bus was approaching, she said, I would always stand number one in line. She said, it doesn't matter how big the kids were. She said, I would always, like, go to the front of the line and get on the bus first, which is crazy because I didn't sit in the front of the bus. Like, I would go to the back of the bus and, like, clown off with everybody on the bus. But I think that she tells me that story to just remind me of my personality and my character from a super young age, of just always being a leader, always thinking that I deserve the best, always thinking that, like, my quality of life was never determined by, like, our situation as a family, that I always wanted the best out of whatever scenario I was in.
Don't play small.
Exactly. And so I think that kind of spills over into how I end up being a prominent figure during civil unrest, and how I end up with the largest Juneteenth celebration in the state, and how I come to Miami and being inspired and wanting to do something about it, how that turned into HIPHOUSE Music Festival. And so I'm really excited about the trajectory of HIPHOUSE Music Festival. I'm excited about, people who look like me, frankly, being in the environmentalism space. Like, when I look around the environmental ecosystem, I don't see a lot of people that look like me. Not a ton of people.
You're right. I can attest to that too.
And so I think that I also have a duty and a responsibility to, like, again, in the name of making things accessible and removing access barriers, I think that I have a mandate of showing, like, young Black folks, young people of color, like, you belong in this space just as much as anybody else who's here to do
Doesn't
something
matter
for the
if
environment.
You have a college degree or if you're
Correct.
affluent.
Correct. And it's like, a lot of times you don't think you can do something until you see somebody who looks like you or reminds you of yourself do it, and then it kind of instills representation matters. Yeah. And so I'm really excited to be here in Miami, but kind of putting a bookmark, I guess, in my upbringing and how I got into this space. Like I said, from serving meals, passing out backpacks in the summer. I mean, we used to go canvassing, knocking doors, passing out school supplies and all kinds of things. And, I think if I'm just being real about it, my mama probably saw that as the best opportunity to not only get a resource, but to also be of service to people in the same way. And so she had a very passionate, and still is passionate about ministry. And so I became a drummer just because she's a singer. And so naturally, like, being at choir rehearsals and things like that, I just picked up the drums. And fast forward, working for Sony Music Entertainment and just things like that. All of these isolated experiences created who I am now today.
That's amazing. So it
Thank
sounds
you.
like your mom is your hero.
Thank you. Yeah, my mom was my shero. I love her. She actually was awarded a Juneteenth Legacy Award last year at the festival.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. It sounds like she's had a life of service and instilled that in
For
you,
sure.
so.
For sure.
Very cool. It's cool to hear your youth story because, I was really shy as a kid. It sounds like you were the opposite. And that confidence comes through.
I was
like, I
opposite.
may have a podcast now, but I was very shy. I would hide behind my mom's leg. I was not the first one.
How would your friends or family describe you as a kid?
Probably energetic, because I played soccer, but I don't know how they would describe me. Maybe just curious but shy. But
Curious and shy.
Yeah, but I guess I grew out of that shell in college.
Yeah.
And I was bullied a lot as a kid. I'll say that on this podcast. I was bullied a lot because I was one of the smallest kids.
Yeah.
I was the shortest kid in my high school. I'm a little taller now, but grew after. I was a late bloomer. I am a late bloomer. I didn't grow really till I was like 18 or 19.
Okay.
I was like 5'1" in high school. Now I'm like 5'8" or 9. But I was also, my last name's Huberty, so people would call me all the names.
Oh, wow, yeah.
My entire high school and
middle school. Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, and they would tease me and stuff, throw you in lockers. This was back in the 90s. We were getting hazed on my soccer team. They would pull our underwear off. They would rip it off of you.
Damn.
They'd come and they'd
I
band
remember
you
wedgies.
on the bus. It's called banding you. It's so bad. They're banding you. They pulled up and they'd use it as a trophy.
Yeah,
this is what kids do back in the 90s.
Kids
it was
were
bad,
trash.
bro.
I'm a 90s baby, so
yeah.
You were maybe a little older than me in the 90s, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I graduated in 97, so, like, I didn't have a cell phone until, like, I was in college.
Okay.
Like, they didn't even have iPhones till I was, like, in my 25 or so.
I grew up on... I'm, like, one of the last generations that remembers analog to the digital.
Oh yeah, we had the
transition.
tape players and the record. I love records to this day. But yeah, even just not having a cell phone. We used to have the pagers in high school, but
Yeah.
like we memorized everyone's phone number in the 80s and 90s. And,
You remember the payphones?
Yeah, I remember the payphones. They don't even exist anymore.
What is
They
it called?
just have like at a museum. nowadays.
CALLATT.
Yep.
I never understood that though. I guess it's called AT&T. I don't know because they would say it's call and collect, and then when they would spell it out, it never seemed like the letters matched.
Oh yeah, you could call
The
a
words.
collect phone number.
Yeah.
And then the person would either accept it or
deny
not
it, yeah.
accept it. Yeah, I remember that. I haven't
Damn,
thought about
takes
that
it
in
back.
years.
Yeah.
But yeah, we used to have a totally different life back then because we weren't always attached to these phones. You
Yeah,
know?
these
We
devices,
put them on
man.
Do Not Disturb, but I would have been getting all types of X
Oh, I already
notifications.
know it's
and,
gonna
you
be
know,
crazy when I look
Oh
at
yeah,
it.
yeah. So I mean, I oftentimes wish we could go back to when there wasn't so much anxiety. I think it causes a little depression and anxiety. And the thing I want to write on my mirror, someone gave me this advice, and something that I think is good advice is comparison is a thief of joy.
Oh my God, I just looked that up the other day.
Yeah, I don't know who said it, but
Yeah, it's a
don't
really
compare
good. It's
yourself
almost
to
like a
anyone.
proverb at this point.
Yeah, comparison is a thief of joy.
It is,
I need
it
to
is.
write that on my mirror because even as a runner, don't compare yourself to anyone else. You are on your path, and it's a beautiful path, and everyone is equal
Correct.
in the eyes of the Creator and in the universe. Like
Correct.
no one. It doesn't matter if you're Jeff Bezos or any of the richest man in the world, or if you're the poorest man in the world. We all have an equal right to live.
Correct.
And to be safe, and to
And have quality of life.
yeah, a quality of life. So I just, there's a lot of, what's the word in America? There's a lot of, there's a big difference in economic and,
Yeah.
there's a lot of divides.
Socioeconomic,
and social,
dissonance, you call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and so it's really great to see you raising this awareness in the music community because
Thank you.
a lot of these festivals it's just about partying.
Exactly.
So you're doing something different. We're gonna get 1,000% behind it.
Thank you.
And we're promoting it on our Instagram. In fact, tell people how they can learn more about HIPHOUSE Festival and what you're up to.
Yeah, so people can stay tuned and stay up to date. www.hiphousemusicfest.com.
Okay.
And also our Instagram handle is HIPHOUSE Festival. We're on LinkedIn as well, HIPHOUSE Festival.
Yep, I found you today on that.
Yeah, man. And then you can follow me on Instagram.
Facebook too, I'm sure.
Facebook. We don't have a Facebook. I don't know if we'll
That's
do
okay.
Facebook. I love Instagram right now.
Just stay with Instagram.
And maybe we'll do a TikTok. I don't know. I don't know how to use TikTok for real. Like every time
Me
I get on
neither.
there, I end up buying something. So I'm like, okay, no. No.
I heard they have a marketplace.
They
on that.
do.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was genius to embed that into their
So
system. But
Instagram is HIPHOUSE Music Fest.
HIPHOUSE Music Festival.
Okay.
No,
You'll find it.
Sorry.
There's going to be in the
HIPHOUSE-
description, yeah.
Okay, yeah. On Instagram, it's HIPHOUSE Festival.
HIPHOUSE Festival.
And the website is www.hiphousefest.com.
Yeah.
And then on LinkedIn, it's HIPHOUSE Festival.
Yeah.
So it's not, music isn't in any
This
of
is
the
a
handles.
new project for you.
Super new.
And you're going to keep the Juneteenth going?
I am, man. We turned 6 this year.
Whoa.
I'm really excited. Last year was my first year producing it from Miami, so I kind of have that notch in my belt of where I needed to grow professionally. Like, okay, can I produce this event without being on the ground?
Yeah, there's a whole team, too, supporting you.
There's a whole team, and my team they're dope, but they also believe and are passionate about what we do. It's not always a joyride, we've got to. The thing about like the festival business, I've had to learn to go, frankly, at it with like everything from city officials to groups, hate groups sometimes, or people that might just not see the value in.
Get nasty messages.
Very nasty. Oh God, you would. Oh God, yeah, super nasty messages. And so I think that that experience has built me up in a way to where I've had people that worked with me or have been on my advisory boards who have done things that were antithetical to the work that we were trying to do, and not always on purpose. Like sometimes people are just people, and like things just happen.
So you're the CEO, right?
Yes, I'm the founder and president.
So you keep an eye just to make sure the integrity is
Correct.
is Gucci, as we say.
I got to be real Gucci.
Nice.
Everything's Gucci.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to align with your core values.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I'm
Otherwise,
big on leadership.
people are not going to get behind it, and they're going to be like, wait a second,
Yeah, people can tell something phony. You can put you can put paint on it, put a nice bow on it, but eventually, if it's fake, it'll rust, and people will notice really quickly.
Well, we are going on maybe the longest podcast we've been on so far, but we've had a couple hour 10s. We're approaching an hour 30. We're turning into a Joe Rogan
Okay, well,
type. No,
if,
but we love
if this is time, then you can call it.
No, I mean, I would love to keep jamming with you. We're going to come back again, I'm sure.
Yes.
We're going to be doing some marketing with you because we love what you do.
Thank you so much.
So people are going to be learning about you through our Instagram and our YouTube. So Aaron, this is that point in the podcast where we ask you for the inspiring message to leave the sneaker impact community with.
Okay, well, anybody that's in the sneaker impact community, I think that the words of inspiration that I would leave, just like be you, be yourself, show up in the world authentically as who you are, and that will take you wherever you need to go. Nobody can steal anything from you, and like we talked about, comparison being the thief of joy. You know, I tell people all the time, you can't compete where you don't compare. That's just me being a little Muhammad Ali-ish about it. But the reality is, there's a lane for everybody, and nobody can take what's kind of divinely yours, whether you're spiritual or not. It's like our destiny and our journeys, whether they go straight or up and down or sideways or zigzag, whatever, like what is for you is yours. And so you don't have to like try to be anything that you're not. You don't have to show up in the world other than how you show up in the world. And that is going to mean a great deal, a lot more than showing up any other kind of way. And you'll inspire somebody by default.
Yeah. So just be yourself.
Just be you.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I love it. Thank you for all of your passion.
Thank you.
It came through loud.
Thank you for
and clear.
having me.
Yeah, man. Guys, Aaron Jordan, HIPHOUSE Festival.
Yes.
Check them out on socials, and welcome to Miami, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, man. It's great to have you again.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye, guys.